Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Oh, wow, nicely done there, Niji. Psalms 23. And, he loves, like, Jesus was his only son, but everybody else is like a daughter to him. Even the guys. There's one son, but then he made the rest of us, or the other children. And, this is his boy. This is the guy. This is the king's son. Right? But I got the sense that he loves all the other children just as much. And it's kind of like having a daughter who is making all the wrong decisions in life. Yeah. And you just wish she wouldn't behave that way. And it breaks your heart to see her carrying on, and she'll march her way right into the pits of hell. And he doesn't want that for anybody. But, that's how he feels about us. It's not like I was told where God's up there judging and kind of annoyed with all of us. Like, oh, he's doing it again. Look at him. He's smoking a cigarette. It's not like that. So, but the Indian Christian connection. So a lot of people, when I was in college, they were like, oh, those dirty missionaries and the dirty boarding schools that brainwashed us, our proud Indian ancestors, into becoming Christians. Because that's what happened too, by the way. The amount of people who didn't convert to Christianity was a small minority of Indian people. And you can tell today, I mean, for people over 60, way more of them are Christian than not. People, Gen Xers and younger, are all a bunch of heathens, but, So it's been my feeling recently that what happened, Indian people heard about Jesus, and it made sense. They believed it. It wasn't about brainwashing. It wasn't about evil nuns coercing. We're not that dumb. That's the story of, forcibly converting Native Americans into Christianity is pretty insulting to Indians, So I feel like it was kind of one of these things. One thing about Ojibwe culture, and all Indian culture, is that we integrated new stuff immediately. Nobody was concerned with, hey, let's stay true and pure to our, original culture. No, as soon as new technologies came, you ever notice how, like, Indians stopped wearing moccasins as soon as the cowboy boot got introduced? Because it was a better shoe. We didn't stick with bows and arrows when we got rifles, Yeah. And when all this organized religious teachings or whatever was talking about the afterlife, God, and sure, the story of Jesus, what's wrong, that doesn't threaten anything about Indian people that this happened. I think the Indian people saw the truth of it, and that's all it was. They made a big deal in the 70s when they passed the Indian Religious Freedom Act. And they said, oh, here's a new law. From now on, Indians, you are free to perform sweat lodge ceremonies. And I remember when I went to my first sweat lodge, I was like, oh, this is cool. These guys have never stopped doing this ceremony in hundreds of years. Then they're like, no, we just started doing this in the 80s. I was like, what? It's like, this is America. Nobody was keeping Indian people from doing sweat lodges and stuff. Just there weren't that many people who were interested in it. They were going to church. I don't know. But again, here's a law where Big Daddy government gives us the right to do something. Oh, thank you for making it legal for me to smoke marijuana. I guess I'll try it for the first time now. It's like, I never asked for your permission. I'm not happy about what's going on in Red Lake. About the dispensary? Yeah. I'm not unhappy, I just don't care. But anyway, and this has been the story of Jesus. To the best of my recollection. To learn more about the Son of God, I don't know, I would tell you to go to church, but I don't know what they're teaching the kids these days. Check 1, 2.